We find Cain in the capital church. He prays to the gods, desiring to enter their realm once more. Cain inquires about his stats, and Xenom acknowledges that his abilities are remarkable, making him potentially the most powerful human alive. Xenom asks if Cain wishes to become a demigod. However, he cautions that there are limits to what Cain can achieve independently, urging him not to push those boundaries. Xenom informs Cain that his current world lacks excitement and suggests he utilize his past life knowledge to create something innovative. Cain contemplates introducing an item absent from this world, and Xenom supports his concept. Cain returns to his realm and encounters a cat girl named Parma, who informs him she is training at her uncle Tamani's shop. Cain visits the shop, impressed by the variety of goods available. He explains the item he envisions, sketching it out and detailing its functions. Tamani's finds the idea appealing and believes he could produce it affordably. Cain requests a prototype, giving Tamani's a gold coin to cover costs, framing it as an initial investment. Tamani's accepts the challenge, assuring Cain he will do his utmost. After some time, Tamani's presents the prototype. Cain is thrilled with its design, playing a game with Parma to showcase its use. Tamani's gets excited, confident it will become popular. Cain proposes creating a deluxe version for the nobles, knowing they would prefer a fancier edition. He encourages Tamani's to mass-produce the product, providing him with the necessary funds. Tamani's is taken aback and bows to Cain, promising to give it his best effort. They take their sample to the altar, swearing to the god of commerce that they will uphold their contract, causing the prototype to vanish upon acceptance. Consequently, no one else can create the same product for 3 years. Cain instructs them to begin sales next month and asks Tamani's to prepare a lavish one for the royal family. Afterward, he rushes home, learning his debut is about to commence, so he quickly gets ready and departs with his parents. Garm warns Cain that he will attract a lot of attention due to his recent promotion to Baron, cautioning him about parents eager to introduce their daughters to him. They reach the venue, where the royal family makes their entrance. The king delivers a speech about the upcoming generation. Cain approaches the king with his family, presenting the game he developed with Tamani's. The king expresses interest, indicating he wishes to speak with Cain after the ceremony. Garm was unaware of Cain's game development, and Cain explains he needs to discover alternative income sources to maintain the mansion. His parents leave, encouraging him to interact with other children. Cain sits with Silk, who shows interest in him by teasing, but Corgino's son, Habit, interrupts. He compliments Silk, expecting her to reciprocate, but Silk simply greets him in silence. One of Habit's friends demands Cain show respect, prompting Cain to rise and introduce himself as Baron Cain. However, they assume he is just the son of a baron and begin to look down on him. Habit concludes Cain must come from a poor family since he didn't mention his last name, threatening to have his friends beat him up if he doesn't apologize for his rudeness. Cain counters that Habit is the one being impolite. They proceed outside, where Habit challenges him to a fight. He reveals his friends possess the god's blessings and can use magic. The first friend steps forward, attempting to impress with a weak fireball, which Cain easily dodges. The next friend tries to show off with feeble rock projectiles. As they prepare to attack again, Silk grows irritated and declares that Cain is not merely the son of a baron but the baron himself. She recounts his impressive achievements and orders them to bow in submission, which they do, begging for his forgiveness. Afterward, Silk realizes Cain harbors a darker side, as he prolonged the confrontation for amusement, fully aware the children were mistaken. She vows to keep this secret from Telestia if Cain agrees to go on a date with her. At that moment, Telestia arrives, curious about the commotion, but Silk merely tells her they are planning a date. Feeling jealous, Telestia asks Cain if he will also take her out. The king interrupts, summoning Cain for their meeting, where they engage in Cain's game. The king enjoys it, expressing a desire to keep it exclusive, but Cain reveals plans to make it public. The Duke is present, and they remind Cain that his engagement with their daughters is a secret, advising him to exercise caution during his dates. The next day, Cain receives the deed and key to his new mansion. Upon inspection, he discovers it is completely dilapidated. As he enters, the lights fail to work, prompting him to use magic for illumination. He explores the rooms, finding everything filthy and empty. Undeterred, he employs magic to clean and restore the entire mansion instantly. Shortly after, he is visited by Sylvia, who is thrilled to serve him again, and he meets his new butler, Colin. Eager to get to work, Sylvia instructs the other maids to begin cleaning, only for them to find everything impeccably tidy. Cain admits he used magic to clean. Colin reminds him to return to his family, and Cain recalls that his older brothers are coming to visit. We are introduced to his brothers. They express amazement at Cain's quick rise to baron and ownership of a mansion. Rain is eager to visit, but her brothers warn her that it could be haunted due to its dilapidated state. Cain reassures her that everything will be fine. When they visit his mansion, they are astonished to find it in excellent condition. Garm is baffled since the last time he visited, the mansion was falling apart, but he realizes it must be Cain's doing. They marvel at the various rooms. However, Garm comments that it lacks artwork. Cain questions the need for art, and Garm explains that nobles take great pride in decorating their mansions with paintings, armor, and even mounted monster trophies. Upon hearing this, Cain decides to display one of his defeated monsters. Suddenly, Sylvia screams, and they wonder what has happened. The maids gasp upon seeing a colossal red dragon, and Cain realizes he forgot to inform them about it. His father demands an explanation, and Cain casually states it is merely a monster he defeated. Garm is astonished, questioning when Cain vanquished it, to which Cain reveals it occurred in the forest some time ago. Garm asserts that a red dragon is considered a calamity-level monster, and even ranked adventurers would struggle against it. He mentions that the mounted red dragon would be valued at 1,000 platinum coins, leaving Cain astonished, calculating it to be worth around $100 million. They suddenly hear another scream and rush to investigate. His mother inquires about the toilet, which sprayed water unexpectedly, explaining it was unlike anything they had encountered before. Cain clarifies that he utilized magic to make it function, prompting Rain to request one for their home. Garm chastises them for overreacting about a toilet, but they urge him to try it, leading him to give it a go and find it delightful, quickly changing his mind and requesting one for himself. His father points out that their guests will also appreciate the experience, leaving Cain puzzled. Garm informs him that upon receiving a mansion, it is customary to host a debut party, causing Cain to realize he has another debut to prepare for. Later that night, Cain contemplates how to handle the situation, but Colin presents him with a list of guests to invite and necessary preparations. As he reviews the list, he spots Gorgino's name and questions the need to invite him. Colin explains that as a high-ranking noble, not inviting him would be ill-advised. Cain wonders why the king isn't on the list, and Colin informs him that only high-ranking nobles can extend an invitation to him. Concerned about arranging food and beverages for the event, Cain panics when he realizes he also needs to procure gifts for all his guests. Sylvia suggests some ideas, and Cain conjures a glass using his magic. As most people are accustomed to using porcelain, he decides to distribute glasses to all his guests. He then begins to prepare the food. Utilizing a recipe from his previous life, he creates Hamburg steak, which Sylvia finds utterly delicious. She tastes his fizzy drink next and is astonished by the bubbles, prompting Cain to explain how he enchanted regular wine to create carbonation. Colin interrupts, informing Cain that the king is requesting him at the palace. The king is irate, having never received an invitation to Cain's party. It turns out that the Duke has been teasing him about not getting an invite. Cain quickly comes up with an excuse, saying he intended to deliver his invitation in person but hadn't found the time until now. The king beams upon hearing this, and Cain breathes a sigh of relief. On the night of the party, Cain welcomes his guests. The Duke arrives with Silk, and they are both astonished by the red dragon. Cain expresses gratitude for everyone attending and raises a toast. All are amazed by the drink. The Duke comments on how the glass sparkles like treasure. The king arrives, urging everyone to relax and enjoy the festivities. After tasting the sparkling wine, he he finds it utterly delightful. Next, he samples the Hamburg steak, reveling in its rich, juicy flavor, surprised by the cheese surprise hidden inside. The queen rushes out, inquiring about the toilet, dubbing it revolutionary and demanding one for the palace. The king tries it out himself and immediately insists Cain install one in the palace. He praises Cain's hospitality, receiving applause from all the nobles. Just then, Colin informs him that Corgino is approaching. Corgino arrogantly strides in, mocking the size of the house, only to be taken aback upon seeing the red dragon. He enters the dining room, looking down on everyone else. They serve him the sparkling wine, which catches him off guard, but he pretends not to enjoy it. When he tries the Hamburg steak, he calls it disgusting, yet cannot stop himself from devouring it. Demanding more sauce, he snatches it from Sylvia, prompting Cain to feel irritated by his rudeness. However, Colin advises him to remain composed. Cain has an idea, reasoning that as long as he doesn't cause a scene himself, everything should be fine. He offers Corgino the glasses as gifts, but Corgino demands Cain surrender all of them. Cain apologizes, stating that the glasses are intended as gifts for everyone, but insists he has a greater surprise in store. Corgino grows curious, but it turns out the surprise is the king. Corgino is dumbfounded at the sight, and the king chastises him for his unacceptable behavior, reminding him that as a high-ranking noble, he should set an example. Corgino flees in embarrassment, while Silk finds Cain's setup amusing. The king realizes he has been played and ends up lecturing Cain for hours. Later, Cain visits the barracks, encountering Vice Captain Gizzard. He mentions he was told he could store his monster materials there, prompting Gizzard to take him to a warehouse for storage. Cain states that the room is too small, leading Gizzard to assume he must possess something large, like the red dragon at his mansion. Cain downplays it, stating it's merely an earth dragon. However, Gizzard is equally astonished, asserting it would require a party of ranked adventurers to take down just one. They head to the courtyard where Cain reveals all the monsters stored in his item box. Gizzard cannot believe the sheer number of creatures, yet these are only D-ranked monsters. He still possesses S-ranked ones within the box after receiving excessive power from the gods. Gizzard ponders whether Cain is a hero or a disciple of the gods, but Cain insists he's just an ordinary boy, prompting Gizzard to refrain from probing further. Gizzard informs Cain that it will take some time to appraise all the monsters, and Cain states he can return whenever they are ready. As he turns to leave, Gizzard requests Cain's assistance in training the knights, expressing a desire to showcase Cain to his captain. Gizzard introduces Cain to the knights as the hero who defeated 30 orcs to save the princess. Cain wonders where the captain is, and Gizzard replies that she will likely arrive once the mock battles commence. Cain imagines the captain as a fierce warrior, but Gizzard reassures him there is no cause for worry. The mock battle begins, but one knight expresses discomfort about fighting a child. Gizzard tells the knight to let Cain take the first move for a free shot, urging him to showcase his abilities. Cain employs his boost spell. Dashing forward, he disarms the knight immediately, causing the knight to concede defeat, leaving Cain feeling he may have gone too far. He attempts to end the match, but Gizzard insists he take on all the knights simultaneously. Their battle is interrupted when Captain Tefana enters. She questions why her knights are targeting a child, hugging Cain and assuring him everything will be fine, mistakenly thinking he's just a lost child who wandered in. She demands an explanation from Gizzard. He explains that Cain is the hero who defeated 30 orcs. Tefana's demeanor shifts instantly as she expresses eagerness to meet him, challenging him to a duel. Gizzard suggests she introduce herself first. Yet she insists they will learn about each other through their swords. The knights anticipate that Cain stands no chance, as Tefana holds the title of Master Swordsman. As they prepare to fight, Cain mentions he only possesses a wooden sword, but Tefana charges at him nonetheless. She activates her boost skill, rushing toward Cain as they exchange blows. The knights are shocked to witness Cain keeping pace with the captain. Both appear evenly matched, but Cain increases his speed further. Getting behind the captain, he wins the duel, leaving Tefana emotional at the outcome and declaring her intent to marry him. Everyone is stunned, and Cain protests that he is only 10 years old and knows nothing about her. Tefana introduces herself, revealing she is the captain of the Royal Knights and an honorary viscount, daughter of the Duke from the Northern Forest. She assures him age is irrelevant since she is an elf who will live for at least 300 years, meaning her appearance will remain unchanged for a long time. Cain feels that age is not the issue. Hiding behind Gizzard, Cain argues that marriage is a significant commitment and cannot be decided so hastily, especially since he is already engaged to Telestia and Silk. Desperately, he seeks Gizzard's help, but Gizzard feigns sleep. Tefana concedes that decisions cannot be made unilaterally and instructs Gizzard to arrange an audience with the king. Cain worries that involving the king would be disastrous, yet he has no choice but to comply. During their meeting with the king, he asks why Cain has come to visit. Tefana announces her desire to marry Cain, prompting the king to inquire about the circumstances. Cain explains that he defeated Tefana in a duel, leading to her proposal. The king asks if Cain informed her about his other engagements, to which Cain admits he hasn't been able to since they are supposed to be a secret. The king explains that elves were once kidnapped and enslaved for their beauty, but their first king changed this narrative and established peace with the elves. Thus, the elf nation was welcomed and placed under the kingdom's protection, revealing that Tefana is effectively their princess. The king informs Tefana of Cain's existing engagements to Telestia and Silk. She appears disheartened by this news, but as he begins to apologize, Tefana claims it only intensifies her desire for him. The king acknowledges her feelings but insists she must write a letter to her father for permission. Tefana departs to draft her letter but pulls Cain along to continue sparring. Once they leave, the king expresses surprise at Cain's ability to defeat Tefana and wonders how he possesses such strength at a young age.